No doubt you have probably had to sit through enough political ads recently to know there is an art to creating a successful one. Or is it just luck? I don't know. And you might have the next Morning in America, right? Do it wrong, and it could backfire on you big time. Our Jessica Yellen introduces us to the brains behind one of the year's most talked about political commercials.
I'm not a witch. I'm nothing you've heard. I'm you.
Delaware Senate candidate Christine O'Donnell now says she regrets that ad. Fred Davis made it.
My goal was to give people the same impression of Christine O'Donnell that I had the first second I met her. She didn't sound crazy. She didn't sound like a witch. She didn't sound like any of those things. And I wanted the rest of the world to hear that as well.
And to critics, that's not smoke in the background.
I want you to it's a projector, very simple little projector projecting light on a black background, actually.
Davis's ads helped elect all these Republicans and could boost a few more this year.
Barack Obama is the worst president in history.
And complete the dang fence.
It's time for a nerd.
Davis lives in Hollywood, California. This is his office. He says ideas often come to him in bed. In the middle of the night?
Often in the middle of the night. I sleep with a legal pad. Every night, very exciting.
The nerd ad helped unknown Rick Snyder win his primary for Michigan governor, and it came from a first impression.
I shook his hand and I said, well, hi, Rick, nice to meet you. He goes, hey, hi, good to meet you. And, your heart sinks.
That's not the voice you want.
It's not the voice you want. But then I started talking to him, and he's just a really, really bright guy. And so I think instead of trying to make him sound differently, let's use what he is.
FCINO. Fiscal conservative in name only. A wolf in sheep's clothing.
In his most famous video, Davis turns a moderate Republican into a wolf in sheep's clothing.
I didn't think 5 people would ever see it. And millions have seen it. And for the rest of my life, I'll be introduced as the demon sheep guy.
Is there a essence to a good political ad? What it needs to have?
Well, to me, it has to stand out, and you have to talk about it. And the thing that makes you talk about it, I think, is it being different.
He's one tough nerd.
Fred Davis, definitely not your typical spin doctor. Jessica Yellen, CNN, Los Angeles.
That wolf in sheep's clothing ad was kind of creepy, wasn't it? You're only going to see more political ads over the next 9 days, but do they actually work? We've got the perfect panel to talk about it right now. Princella Smith is a GOP strategist and communications specialist. Welcome to you. And Steve Kornacki is the news editor for Salon.com. So candidates are spending millions on the airwaves, guys, to get our attention. These ads must work, right, Princella?
Well, a good political ad reflects the mood of the country and of the electorate. Right now, the mood is very weird, it's very angry, and it's very anti-incumbent and anti-establishment. So many of these ads look very weird and angry and moody because that's how people feel right now. Whether or not we think they're weird, they're apparently seeming to work. They have launched what seemingly seems to be a lot of novice-type candidates into grandiose spotlight. And so right now, the mood of the electorate is largely, it's not as much partisan as it is anti-establishment. Yeah. If you look like you're establishment, it's time for you to go. So that's what these ads are speaking to.
So, Steve, to the point as well, do these ads work in your estimation?
Well, it depends, I think, what kind of ad you're talking about. I think, Christine O'Donnell's ad where she's forced to declare that she's not a witch, didn't work. Anytime you sort of feel compelled to run an ad like that, it kind of proves you have flaws that really can't be corrected no matter what.
But Steve, can I stop you right there? Can I ask you that maybe this ad was, because some people say it was bad, but maybe it was so bad that it was good because it was spoofed everywhere, and it may have gotten her even more attention and publicity than if the ad had been a good one.
The problem with Christine O'Donnell, though, is that more attention and more publicity doesn't correlate with more support in the polls. She's now down about 20 points, and that race is pretty much hopeless. It's a lost cause. And you look at that from the Republican standpoint. Delaware, at the start of this year, when it was assumed that Mike Castle would be the Senate candidate there, was supposed to be an automatic pickup for the Republicans this year. But because Christine O'Donnell has so much attention focused on her, she's become a liability, and she's sort of disrupted this sort of Republican plan to capitalize on the political climate.
All right, Princella and Steve. Steve, listen, changing gears right now. Often they're criticizing like Democrats for being weak-willed. I know that now Ed Rendell is saying, I think he's calling them wussies or something. So I want you to listen to this exchange from CNN's Parker Spitzer of Ed Rendell.
Where is the Democratic story that's an affirmative story that explains how we're going to solve the problem?
Well, you're absolutely right. And I've said consistently during this campaign season, we're a bunch of wusses. We're running from the things that we've done, running from the things we believe, instead of saying, here's what we stand for. If we're going to lose, let's go down fighting for the things we believe in.
So, Princella, is Ed Rendell right? I mean, do the Dems need to do what Sharon Angle said, as she would put it, man up?
I think, with all due respect to Mr. Rendell, he has it absolutely wrong, because he thinks that this fight is still partisan and ideological. This is not an ideological fight. This is a philosophical fight. And I think that's where the Democrats have it wrong. In 2008, they viewed it as a mandate for the Democratic policies, and it wasn't. 2008 was a call for real change, and that's what the Democrats have seemingly forgotten. Let me give you 3 quick examples of races that people aren't talking about very much, but it's going to prove my point. In Wisconsin, you have Mr. Johnson there, who's getting ready to beat long-term Democrat incumbent Russ Feingold in a very blue state. In Louisiana, you have Joseph Gall, a Republican, poised to win a 75% Obama district that's 64% African-American and Democrat. Again, he runs on a platform of what he's done for the district.
And was the only one to initially support the health care plan, the only Republican.
Yeah, he did, but he voted against it the second time, but that's not even, it's been a moot point now. He's running on what he's done for people. People want results. Let me give you the 3rd example. I'm working in Arkansas, and I'm working primarily on state level races. And let me give you a statistic that people don't know. In 95 state legislature races throughout the country, the incumbent lost in a primary. Jason Rapert in Arkansas's 18th district is poised to win the largest state Senate district in the entire state, and he has no political experience. This mood is anti-incumbent.
That's in a lot of different races, though. If you look at the Christine O'Donnell race, and you look at many other races around the country, a lot of people don't have a lot of experience, virtual unknowns who are challenging people who have been in office forever. Listen, Steve, Princella said this was more philosophical. Is it even that, or is it really just, as they say, the economy? It's the economy, stupid.
Yes, it is. We like to talk about, what messages candidates should be using, and, should this be the strategy or that be the strategy. What we don't always like to admit, I think, is there's really a boring explanation, for what's going on this year.
Yeah, all this talk that we do when it's really about the economy and jobs.
When you have 9.7% unemployment and one party controls the White House and one party controls both chambers of Congress, and that party just had 2 elections in which it won a lot of very marginal districts and a lot of very marginal Senate seats, it's gonna, there's gonna be a sort of blowback. There's gonna be a very rough, a rough follow-up, and that's what we're seeing this year. I think, Ronald Reagan experienced it 2 years into his presidency. We all have forgotten, but there was 10% unemployment. His party, just took a beating in the 1982 midterms. But he bounced back when the economy bounced back. If it bounces back now, Obama and the Democrats will bounce back.
Okay, listen, Steve and Princella, there is a well-known political figure whose loyalties are up for grabs. So I want you to watch this. It is from HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher, and then we'll talk about it.
I don't even know if you're a Republican or a Democrat.
We're debating that one. I'm up and down. I'm back and forth here.
I'll get you high after the show.
All righty.
So Levi Johnson is looking for a party to join Princella. Steve, any takers?
Well, the Republican
this
Party
might be one where...
Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead. I'm just saying that this is one of those cases where I think it helps the other, whichever party he joins, it probably helps the other one more.
Princella?
I'm going to agree with Steve.
And you'll leave it at that, right?
We'll leave it at that.
Enjoy the conversation, guys. Thank you. Have a good evening, all right? CNN is your place for politics as these midterms heat up. Be sure to watch CNN tomorrow night.